Today's English lesson is on modal verbs and their uses. Now, what is a modal verb? Well, a modal verb is an auxiliary or helper verb that is usually used with the main verb of the sentence to express possibility, ability, intent, necessity, and permission. These are the various kinds of modals that we generally use in sentences. Can, could, may, might, must, ought, shall, should, will, would. Also, dare, need, used to, ought to are considered to be modals. Can and could are used to express ability or to seek or to give permission. So, to imply ability and permission, can and could are used. May and might are used for giving and seeking permission or to indicate possibility. The word should is used to give advice or to imply expectation. Must and have to both mean obligation. Must can also imply certainty. One must remember that could is actually the past form of can, and we use it in reported speeches or in indirect speeches, while would is the past tense of will, the past form of will. The word shall, I can use shall with I. For example, I shall call him today. The word will is also used for the future tense to describe what you plan to do. Will may also imply a promise. For instance, I will study hard. This sentence denotes not only the future tense but also a kind of promise that I will study hard. The word could is used to talk about possible events or situations. For example, you could have easily won the competition. This is a reference to a past incident. And it is said that you could have easily won the competition. Now, could is also used as a polite expression to seek permission or to make a request. For example, in a sentence like, could you please help me to solve this puzzle? A request is being made. The word would is also used when we are seeking permission. Would you mind if I use your pen? So both could and would are polite forms of verbs. When we are seeking permission, we use them. Would may also be used to describe an imaginary situation or a wish, a desire. For instance, I would like to go out for a movie today. Here I am expressing my desire. Or in a sentence like, I would like to visit America someday. So, in the future, I plan to do this thing, but it might not happen. So, it's a dream. It's an imaginary situation that I'm dreaming about. Here are some characteristics that one must keep in mind about modal verbs. They never change their form. You can't add s or ed or ing with modal verbs. Modal verbs are always followed by an infinitive without to, and modal verbs allow the speakers to express possibility or certainty or willingness or an obligation or a necessity or an ability. In this chart, the different uses of modal verbs have been shown. I can sing. When a person says, I can sing, it means he is expressing his ability to sing. Can I take it? Here, a request is being made. So, the person is asking for permission to take the object. We could help him. We could help him indicates a possibility that help could be provided to the person that they are talking about. Could I use your pen? Here, a request is being made. Permission is being sought from the person who has the pen. It may rain. This indicates a possibility that it may rain. May I ask why you did it? Here, there is a wish or a desire to know the reason. He might be at home. This sentence also indicates a possibility that the person might be at home. You might use my pen. Permission. Permission is being granted here. You must go at once. Here, order is being given. I must do the work. Here, a willingness is expressed, or rather, an obligation is expressed that I must do the work. We should be polite. Instead of should, we could have used ought to also. Implies the same thing. It means the same thing, that you ought to be polite, or we should be polite. So there is a necessity to be polite. You should leave now. Here, an advice is being given. Here are some more examples. You must get a haircut. When we say this, it means that the person should get a haircut. It implies a necessity that you must, you should. So it may be an order also. You need a haircut. That means the person requires a haircut, but there is no obligation to do that. It is his wish whether he gets the haircut or not, but he requires it. He certainly needs the haircut. You ought to get your haircut. That is also necessary, a requirement that the person ought to get his haircut. But there is no obligation. This is not an order. You must not eat this sweet dish. Okay. So here, an absolute necessity is being implied, and the person is being forbidden, or he is being told not to eat the sweet dish. He should not eat the sweet dish. But when need not is being used for the same sentence instead of must not, it implies a totally different thing. You need not eat this sweet dish. It means that it is the person's desire whether to eat or whether not to eat this sweet dish. It depends totally on his wish, on his desire. No one is forcing him not to eat the sweet dish. No one is ordering him, but he may not. He need not means he may not eat this sweet dish. You ought not to eat this sweet dish. Here an advice is being given that he should not, he ought not eat the sweet dish. Now we will go on to see, now we will look at the contracted or shortened forms of the modals. Cannot, could not. These are shortened or contracted to can't, couldn't. For example, I can't do this, or I can't swim. You can't sing. He can't draw. She can't dance. They can't go there. So, cannot, becomes can't. In spoken English particularly, we use can't. Could not. Could not is contracted to couldn't. I couldn't, you couldn't, she couldn't or he couldn't, they couldn't. So these contracted forms are used in spoken English. Must not becomes mustn't, should not becomes shouldn't, ought not becomes oughtn't, need not becomes needn't. Well, what are the contracted forms of will? When I use it with I, it becomes I'll. So the W is not being pronounced. I'll, he'll, she'll, they'll, you'll. And will not becomes won't. So I won't do this. He won't do that. She won't. They won't. You won't. And for would, it is contracted or shortened to a single letter D with an apostrophe before it. And for would, it is shortened to a single letter D with an apostrophe before it. So I'd, you'd, he'd, she'd, they'd. But with would not, it becomes I wouldn't, you wouldn't, he wouldn't, she wouldn't, they wouldn't. So these are the contracted forms of the different modal verbs. See, here are more sentences using not with the modals. For example, in sentence number 1, she cannot dance or she can't dance. It implies inability on her part to dance. She could not complete the exam or she couldn't complete the exam. It is a reference to the past incident and of her inability to complete the exam. She was not able to complete the exam. He will not come today or he won't come today. So it implies the future tense, but we are saying today. Maybe later on in the day, he will not be able to come. He would not take the test. That means he has refused to take the test. We will not go there. So in the future tense, it is being implied and said that we will not go there. That means it is a kind of refusal perhaps to go there, or it is an inability to be able to attend some function or to be able to go there. I shall or will not accept the invitation. Using the contracted form of shall not, I can also say I shan't accept the invitation. It implies a kind of a determination on my part not to accept the invitation. Or simply I can state I won't accept the invitation. It may imply an inability on my part to be able to accept the invitation and attend the function. Shall denotes a determination. So shall not will mean a firmness that I am determined not to accept the invitation and attend the function. We move on to the next sentence. You should not disobey your teacher. Here, an advice is being imparted that you should not disobey your teacher. He may not be able to come today. Although we are saying about today, it also indicates a future tense. He has not arrived yet, and there is a possibility that he will not be able to come. So, it is a possibility denoted by may not. that he will not be able to come. He might not be at home also indicates a possibility. He might not be at home. Suppose someone is wishing to visit a person, but he is being told that that person might not be at home. It indicates a probability, a possibility. Now let's see how modals are used to form questions. Look at this chart here. The first sentence, would you open the box please? And in the negative, you can use, wouldn't you open the box? These two questions imply two different things. In the first one, a request is being made to open the box. So it's a polite form of saying, would you open the box please? And in the second question, one is being indirectly urged to open the box. A persuasion is indicated in the second question. Wouldn't you open the box? Now look at the third question. Could you please pass me the butter? This is also a polite expression. One is being asked to kindly pass on the butter. Suppose you are sitting with some friends for lunch or for a dinner, and you want the butter, so you can use this polite expression to make a request for the butter. In the fourth sentence, we are using the negative form. Couldn't you pass me the butter? Or could not you pass me the butter? Here, an urgency can be noted. So you're urgently asking to pass on the butter. A kind of persuasion is being made. So it's not exactly a very polite request. You need the butter and you're urging the person to pass on the butter. Fifth question. Will you buy the dress? So you're simply asking whether the person will buy the dress. And if it is, won't you buy the dress? That means you are insisting. You wish that person to buy the dress. So your framing of the question has changed. You use the negative form. Will you not? Or won't you do this? That means you are insisting. You're urging that person to do that thing. So won't you buy the dress would actually mean that you wish that person to buy the dress. And you're asking whether he would not do that thing. Whether he would not buy the dress. He or she, it might be. Okay. In the seventh question, see, shouldn't you be studying now? This question denotes that the person ought to be studying. He should be studying, but he is not doing so, and you are actually urging him to do so. You are advising him to do so. So shouldn't you be studying now? Means you are persuading or urging that person to study. He should be studying. It implies. Must you always misbehave with them? See, although here the affirmative form has been used in this question, you are actually insisting that that person should not misbehave. So it indicates that you are displeased with him and you are forbidding him. You are asking him not to misbehave. Well, so much for today. I hope all of you have enjoyed the lesson.